I have a I'll be making a first look of Super Hot Mind Control Delete today.
Oh, nice.
I'm putting that up. I ended up snagging it. It's cheap enough. Well, it's still on sale, so I'll be doing that one a little bit later.
And we're live. There we go. Hey, everybody. I love that new button where you can just have it automatically go live. I love it.
That's so nice.
How's it going, everybody? Oh, look at all these people that are here. You guys are awesome.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick. Oh, no, he's the one that says that. And then everybody else says, hi, Dr. Nick.
Hey, everybody.
Hello there, Jason and Trevs and Jamie and William and Stadia Pro Gaming, Granite T-Rock, Sammy, Justin, Lloyd Hannison. I hate that guy. Let's see. Noah, Darren, Goblin Lord, Vaxer, Jem. Jem was here first. He wants everybody to know that.
I think I'm going to crank my light up just a touch.
Okay. So I upped it. Yes, that's right. There's a new look on Stadia Cast. Lloyd told me, will you just leave stuff alone and stop changing things? And I said, well, yes, I will do exactly that. And then I changed everything because there's something wrong with my brain and I can't leave things alone.
That's been the story of the show so far. So
Yeah.
we'll be chatting, and Bill's like, "Hey, can you do up some thumbnail templates for the show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." So I do up like 2-3 thumbnail templates. We use them for one episode, and then Bill completely changes them, and I'm like, "What the hell, dude? What'd you do?" And he's like, "Yeah, I was bored." I'm like, "All right, fair enough."
I can't
Fair
help
enough.
myself. I always like changing things. Like changing things. Rooster, hello. We saw you. We see you, man. We see you.
Any Stadia Cats news? Yes, both my cats are fantastic. I woke up. My wife, I guess she was having problems sleeping, and she wanted to go into a different room. She does that every once in a while if I'm snoring or whatever. So at 5 a.m, I'm hearing a cat play with our door, which is pretty normal. Like, cats get up at 5 and they run around the house looking for attention, and we just ignore them so that they eventually go to sleep. And usually, I'm a pretty good sleeper, so it doesn't bother me lately. But I'm hearing a lot of playing with the door. It's just like, it's like this. And I'm like, what the hell? And so I turn over and I try to go back to sleep. And then I hear paper, like rustling paper. And I'm like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden I turn over, I'm looking at the ceiling, and I'm like, the paper's coming from inside the room. So I get up, grab my phone, turn my flashlight on, and one of the cats is in the bedroom. So I guess she was hiding somewhere in the room. And when my wife closed the door, locked one of the cats in there, so she was in there all day, or all night. Well, not all night, for a couple hours, I guess.
Yeah.
Messing around with things. So I had a 5 a.m. cuddle with Juno, and she was purring like crazy. And then I put her out of the bedroom and closed the door, because if I don't, at 5 a.m, they will not stop. Like, they'll walk on your face because they want attention. So lately I've been closing the door, and I don't let them in the bedroom at night.
See, we are always nervous about having the door closed because we were afraid that the cats were going to claw at the door to try and get our attention. We didn't want them messing up our door, so we just always had the door open. But they pretty much leave us alone until an alarm goes off, and then they're like, "All right, you jerks, you better put food in the bowl." Our cats are so they're so ravenous, but like Marvy is a very fat cat.
Mm-hmm.
DC is not a small cat either. They're both pretty chunky cats. So we have to very carefully regulate what they eat. Otherwise, they just, they can't. Like, my daughter has cats at her apartment, and she just leaves food in the bowl all day. And her cats are super skinny, and our cats won't do that. They will just keep eating. We used to call Marvy Jabba the Cat because he would lay down next to his food. And he's one of those cats that have like seven toes on his paws, and he would grab a handful of food out of the bowl, like reach over, grab a handful, drop it in front of him, and then eat it. It was he's so, our cats are weird.
That's
and
amazing.
That is your Stadia Cats update for today. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let's get started with the show. I think if you guys are looking for the show notes, I'm going to paste them in chat right now so you can follow along with all of the stuff that we're talking about. Are you ready to make an MP3, Lloyd?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let me shut off the music. And we'll minimize that. And we're going to go over to this screen. And I'm going to hit record. And then we're going to do a thing.
Awesome.
Here we go. What? That's the wrong button. I didn't mean to hit that button right then. Welcome back, everybody, to Stadia Cast, episode 72. I'm Bill. That's Lloyd. What's going on, Lloyd?
Not much. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Bill. Hopefully everybody's having a fine Sunday morning or evening if you're on the other half of the world.
Happy time zone is the thing that I personally like to say, because that covers
That's right.
all of the bases, and it makes every day kind of seem like a holiday. Before we get started on Stadia Cast and all of the Stadia news, this is the place that you want to come for all of your Stadia news, is right here. You can either download this show by heading to anchor.fm/StadiaCast, subscribe to it in your favorite podcasting app that you prefer, or you can watch us on YouTube. We do this show live on our YouTube channel, which you can find at youtube.com/StadiaCast every single Sunday morning, 10 a.m. So if you are here for the first time, make sure that you click on all of the YouTube buttons, because those things really do help. And before we get started, I just want to let all of the live people know that at the second half of the show, each and every episode, we have what we call crowd play, where we respond to the super chats that have come in. This is because there's usually too much chat going by for us to keep up with it all. So, use those super chats. We'll respond to each and every super chat that comes in the second half of the show, and that does support us as well. And if you're not here live and you want to support us, check out the the join button down below. You can become a member, and if you click on that button, it'll tell you all the reasons why you should. Let's start off with what we always start off with, is what have we been playing? So, Lloyd, what have you been playing this week, man?
I'm playing a lot of ESO like usual. That's kind of my go-to game. That's the game I'm married to. There's like you have. Which show is it? I think it's DLC. Yeah, Jeff Kanata says you have games you're married to, then you have games that you're dating. So married to is like games that you have for a long time, and then the dating games are just like little like weekend things where you go to have a good time. Not that you date and marry at the same time. So it's a weird analogy. But anyway, that aside, ESO is the game that I'm definitely married to these days, playing a lot of that. But I did pick up Spiritfarer. I was lucky enough to get a review copy of that game, and I've been playing a lot of it after checking it out for a short period of time on Xbox Game Pass, but it's obviously is way better on Stadia because I can play it on any screen. And I am absolutely in love with Spiritfarer. So if you haven't watched my first look, go check out the first look. I did the voices, so some people are saying it's cringeworthy. So if that bugs you, you might want to skip forward to the gameplay because there's a lot of text at the start of the game. But Spiritfarer is this like really cool, super, I don't know, artsy sort of looking game. It reminds me very much of like Japanese animation style, like old Miyazaki films, like Studio Ghibli kind of stuff. It's not quite that for the character designs, but kind of the world and the colors and everything is there. And basically you are a little girl and you have a cat, and you are tasked with becoming the ferryman or ferry lady, I guess, of the arc that brings people to the afterworld. So you meet Sharon, and he says that you're now the Spiritfarer, and you get his power. And basically what your gameplay is you have a boat. You can build on the boat, build different, rooms and crafting stations and various other things to I guess, go forward with the story. But what you're trying to do is go from on your boat from island to island to island, meeting souls that have a problem. So it'll be like one guy is like, "Oh, I like your hat. I really wish I had a nice hat. Do you have a hat? No? Okay. Well, if you find a hat, let me know if you find a hat." And then eventually you'll be able to recruit that person
Oh, okay.
to your ship. So each of them has like a little has a problem, and once you solve that problem, they come aboard your ship, and then they have a whole new set of problems and wants that you have to fulfill before they're happy enough. And I guess the end of the game is basically taking all these friends that you've made, and I think it's kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of an analogy for your lifetime. You build up friends throughout your lifetime, and then you have to say goodbye at the end. So I'm assuming that the end of the game is bringing everybody to the Infinity Gates, and they will they will go on to the afterlife. But the game is just so cheery. Like you can hug everybody. Like the one of the main mechanics of the game is keeping people hungry or happy rather. They could be hungry, they could be grumpy, they could be sad about the weather. And you basically go and you feed them or whatever, and they have different wants for the food, and then you can give them hugs. And each of the characters have their different sizes, different shapes, different creatures, and you give them hugs, and it just looks like the most warmest hug ever. And I just kind of want to hug everybody that is there. You can even hug your little cat that is following you around. The game also has a co-op where one person can be the cat running around and doing things. But my God, the game is just so heartwarming, and like I smile so much when I'm playing the game. You can go fishing, you can spend time growing food, you can do this, that, and the other thing. It's just such a wonderful, heartwarming game, and I'm super glad that I'm playing it, and I can't wait to progress further and beat this title, because it just is one of those games that just kind of, I don't know, gets its hooks in, and you just can't think about anything else but playing that game. And that's what Spiritfarer has been for me. So definitely check out my first look if any of this sounds interesting, and see if maybe this is a game that you'd want to check out on Stadia.
You've almost got me sold on it. Like I looked at it when I first saw it announced. I looked at it and I said, "Okay, this game looks like the kind of game that I've run into a million times before, where I see it and I say, "Oh my God, I'm going to love this game so much." And I play it, and for the first hour or so, I'm completely enamored with it, but it falls off pretty quickly.
Sure.
And so looking at that game, that's what it felt to me like. But hearing you talk about how charming it is really makes me want to jump into it. The thing that I find most intriguing about it is the animation style. Everything,
Yeah.
not just the art style, but the animation is so fluid and dynamic. It feels like I'm watching an old school Disney movie. The way back in the good old days when they were hand drawn. It's just amazing, the art style that they have for Spiritfarer. So I'm curious what everybody thinks about that particular game. Let us know in the comment section down below if you're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like you, I also have been playing Elder Scrolls Online. We did a couple of trials yesterday with our Nerd Nest Guild, which if you are interested in joining that, make sure you check out the link in the description down below that will take you to our community Discord server. But I'm having an absolute blast with that game. It's still just so amazing. But like last night, as I was, I was really kind of wishing that we had more options for MMOs on Stadia. Right
Mm.
now, the only real options are Destiny 2, The Division 2, and Elder Scrolls Online, and all three of those are fantastic games. But what I really, really want is Final Fantasy 14. I want Final Fantasy 14 to come to Stadia. Q Kodiak Moonwolf in chat saying yes, 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 or something like that. So I can't wait for that game to come to Stadia. I
Right.
anticipate that it will. Yoshi P, the guy who's in charge of that game, has said he wants it on all platforms. And really, the big obstacle in the way of getting that game on all platforms was Sony saying you can't have crossplay, and he said we won't go anywhere that we can't have crossplay. Well,
Right.
Sony has kind of taken that requirement out, and I didn't even plan on talking about this, so I just kind of wandered into this topic. But Final Fantasy 14, Square, please bring that to Stadia. Square's been a big supporter of Stadia so far, so I think it's only a matter of time before we get that game. What I have
Yep.
been playing, other than Elder Scrolls Online, is I've been playing some multiplayer Just Shapes and Beats with my son. We sat down and we have two controllers in the house, so we started playing. I cannot play that game multiplayer. My brain can't handle the fact that there's two characters moving around on the screen. I found myself constantly looking at the wrong character and then getting killed. My son was doing absolutely just fine. He had zero problems, but I guess my my kids are always picking on me. They say old man with a gray beard. So the old man with the gray beard just can't handle all of the things on the screen at the same time, and I kept looking at the wrong character. But man, Just Shapes and Beats is fantastic. It's such a great game. I don't think I'm ever going to get any further in it, because I'm just not good enough, but it's awesome. And I know that there's like assistant modes or something like that. You can make it easier, but it's just such a really, really cool game. But those are the two games that I really focused on this week. I also played a couple of games on my Switch because I had to do first looks for my other channel. But for on Stadia, that's pretty much all that I've been playing. And let's move on to the news. There we go. All right. I'm going to start doing those breaks in the middle because that way it gives me a chance to insert stream markers and everything else. That way I can add timestamps to the video afterwards.
Awesome.
And it gives us a chance to take a sip. All right.
Of my delicious Bones Coffee maple bacon flavored coffee, it is the best coffee that you can ever drink.
This episode of StadiaCast is brought to you by Bones Coffee. It's not really. Don't sue us. All right.
I had a sticker somewhere and I was going to hold it up saying "Look, Bones Coffee," but I guess I hid it somewhere. I don't see it anymore.
All right. Okay, you ready for the news?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go. All right, and we're back with the news. Listen, there's a lot to talk about today. First off, I want to talk about the game that I've been waiting for, and that's PGA Tour 2K21, which I still haven't played, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But PGA Tour 2K21 is finally out, but it had kind of a rough launch. The game came out. Well, first off, the game was supposed to come out at a certain time, and then it didn't show up. And then I guess 2K Games tweeted about it, and they said, actually, it's going to be a little late. And then they got it posted, and everybody, I was busy, but everybody was like, anybody else stuck at the loading screen for like, I don't know, forever or whatever? And
Yep.
so I guess everybody was stuck at the loading screen. It was just frozen there, and it wouldn't go anywhere. And so Grace from Google, she did an update. Excuse me. She responded to everybody's complaints and said basically the Stadia team is launching a deeper investigation into this issue that will involve a temporary removal of PGA Tour 2K21 from the Stadia store. We'll do our absolute best to get this back in the store as soon as possible, which I think is the absolute best thing that they could do, is take that game, remove it from the store so that people don't buy it and then can't use it. And then she gave then she said, here's an official tweet from the 2K Tours PR team, basically, and for some reason that's taking forever to load in. It says, we are aware that some players are unable to play the game on Stadia. The issue is being investigated, and we'll post an update as soon as we have more info. Fast forward to update number 3. Grace from Google, who's awesome. She said, "Hey, don't worry, I'm still checking in with the team. I'll let you know as soon as I know something." And then finally, at 6:11 p.m. that day, so this was like a 6 hour issue apparently. She said, "Hey everyone, great news. The team was able to pinpoint the issue, and PGA Tour 2K21 is now back on the Stadia store. I understand this whole situation was very frustrating and less than ideal. Sorry for the bogey." I applaud her use of golf terms in there, and
That was good.
cue everybody being surprised that I understand that that was a sports term. Um, for that, I thank you all again for your patience as we looked into the issue. Enjoy teeing off this weekend and grab those Eagles. Yet more sports terms. So Lloyd, they kind of had
Grace.
they kind of had a stumbling. They stumbled right out of the block with this game. What do you think of the way that Google and 2K Games handled it?
I think that's the best way you can do it is you're in constant communication with your audience. The only issue that I see is that they were only doing those updates on Reddit, which is maybe, I don't know, a single digit percentage of your customer base might
Yeah.
be following this. It would have been better if there was updated communication on Facebook and Twitter and all the other social platforms. That aside, I think this was the best way that they could do it. It sucks, and when this first happened, Bill and I are talking. It's like, how did this get past QA and blah blah blah, and we're like coming up with ideas of how it could have happened. And it looks like this isn't for sure, and I haven't heard from the developers or anybody at Google. But just from seeing what people are saying, that what could have been the issue is if you were a founder, you had issues loading into the game. But then there's some people that said that they're not founders and we're still having issues early on. So maybe that's not it. So I was thinking about that, and I'm like, okay, well, founders don't have numbers at the end of their user ID. So maybe the game was made in such a way that it was looking for username, pound sign, four numbers, and you would have a founder's ID that was username, pound sign, nothing, and maybe that was causing the game to freeze. If that's the case, I can understand that. I could understand exactly Y2K bug, but I could understand why that would happen, because a development account would probably have the four numbers after it. It would probably be something like 2K dev pound sign 0001 all the way up to 100 or however many dev accounts they have. So when you're going through testing, maybe that didn't happen. But then at the end of the day, I'm hearing other communications that maybe that wasn't the case. So it's one of these things that a game was released live, they had a bug, and it's like, oh crap. You have the developers are like, what's happening? Stadia is like, what's happening? The users are like, what's happening? And in about 6 hours, they got it up and running on the store. So that is a monumentous amount of work from Google and from the developers to get the game fixed, patched, and updated quick enough so that they can post it to the store. So just amazing that they were able to get it working. But now people are saying that there's online issues. So I think 2K has a little bit more work to do on this title, unfortunately.
Well, and just to be clear to everyone, this is a game that is published by 2K Games, but it is not made by 2K Games. It is essentially the Golf Club series. I guess I've not played any of the Golf Club games, and I love that name for a game, Golf Club. That's the funniest thing ever. But this is essentially Golf Club 3. And then 2K Games said, we'll publish it for you. And they said, okay, so, and why wouldn't you do that if you are the developers? You get to have your game, and you get all of the recognition of 2K21 at the end of your game. I think that that's kind of huge. But you know what? The thing that I like about how they handled this is that they were kind of doing it in public. It would have been much better had they been saying more. The official Stadia Twitter was saying more on Twitter. However, even with what we saw, there were a vast number of people, the people who are waiting for Stadia to fail, going, oh, lol Stadia can't get it right, blah blah blah. This has nothing to do with Stadia
Yeah.
getting something wrong, or maybe it does. I don't know. But this is, listen. There have been plenty of times where a game has shipped and it has not worked on day one.
Mhm.
That's just the reality that we unfortunately live in now, because games can be patched.
Yep.
They have the ability to ship a game when maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they shouldn't, and then patch it later. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have shipped PGA Tour 2K21, because guess what? It was 6 hours later that they were
Mhm.
able to get it working. So I think that I like the way that they handled it. I like that they were out there with their information. There are some people who are saying, well, give me something for my 6 hours. And I think you have to say, all right, just relax, will you? Yeah, at
Yeah.
most, I think maybe they should give out 100 of like a very small amount of whatever virtual currency is in the game, so you can buy a polo. Or, one of the things that I remember, we always talk about cats at the beginning of the show. There was this game that I was playing called Neverwinter. It's an MMO, and they had this huge problem on. They had like some holiday in the game that was themed around cats, and the game just didn't work at all. There was all kinds of problems, and so they gave everybody like these capes that had like a cat on it, as like, I survived the catastrophe or whatever it was. So
Right.
at most, I think that people could get like a shirt that said, I survived the Stadia launch, or like a Stadia hat or something in the game that doesn't do anything. But I think that overall, I think it was handled pretty well. And I can't wait to play this game. I've been watching Twitch streams, and somebody might say, well, Bill, how come you haven't bought it yet? Well, I reached out to our contact at Google, and I said, hey, it would be really cool if we could get some codes to play this game. And now Lloyd and I are under no impression that we are entitled to codes, but they said, oh yeah, we'll put you on a list. And
Mhm.
so now I'm like, well, I don't want to buy the game and then have them send me the code. So I'm kind of in this holding pattern, and I've been watching
Waiting till
people
Monday.
yeah, I've been watching people play the game on Twitch, and I'm just like, this game looks like so much fun. Although, do you know anything about the way that you play this game, Lloyd?
You hit a ball with a stick and you try to get it in a hole, and you
Well,
use buttons on your controller, or you
ah,
use the stick,
you use
or
the
use the
stick. You
stick.
have to like pull back on the stick and then push it forward, so you've got like a backswing and a foreswing. Ups. What do they call it? You got a backswing, and then your,
Yeah.
I guess, swing is
Your
the.
swing. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you got your backswing and your swing,
And
and it
then
looks really cool. Like they've got like a little circle in the bottom corner, and you do your backswing and your foreswing, and like there's a little traced line that shows you how you've done. And I just think that I'm looking forward to this game so much. I can't wait to play it, but I'm gonna
yeah.
wait, because I don't want to spend the money and then find out that I didn't need to, because it is a lot of money. And
Yep.
$60 for a game, while I think is perfectly reasonable, it's
Mhm.
$60 that I don't want to spend.
Exactly. Yeah, the game itself looks just absolutely fantastic. I was a big fan of Golf Club when it was out. I never played it, but I used to watch people stream it. There's a local sports radio station in Winnipeg, and the people that were the hosts on that radio station were always talking about, like, oh, Breezy Bend Golf Club and Kildonan Park Golf Club and this one and this one, and those are all Winnipeg golf clubs. And I'm like, why does this video game have all these Winnipeg golf courses in it? And it's like, oh yeah, that's right, there's user generated content in the golf club. So there was golf courses from all over Manitoba that were in this game that you could download and check out. So I used to watch them play some of I haven't golfed in years, but I used to golf every once in a while, and I would see a user created version of a course that I spent many hours on, and I'm like, holy crap, that is really really cool. The game itself looks beautiful. The controls look really interesting. I understand that if you don't like that whole stick mechanic, I think you can turn it off, or you can go into simplified mode, I believe.
Oh,
Don't quote me
okay.
on that because I haven't played it, but I believe you can do that. So yeah, it looks like a great game. It's one of those things where I would have bought it on day one, but I'm playing through Spiritfarer, and I don't really have time for another game right this second. As soon as I get a little bit further in Spiritfarer, I might jump into this one because while I'm not a big sports video game fan, I'm a huge sports fan. I watch sports all the time. I just don't find sports video games a lot of fun. The whole club mechanic with this one and be able to create like almost like a guild and have matches together, have tournaments, all that fun stuff. Looks like it could be something that's a lot of fun for the Stadia cast community. So I'm really looking forward to eventually picking this one up and playing it with listeners and people on our Discord.
And if you have the game already and you were looking for other people to play with, and you're watching this on YouTube, look at the link in the description down below, and you can join our Discord community. There's over 1,500 people in there. Get in there, talk about video games, and of course, find somebody to play some golf with, because I think that this game is going to be really popular. The one thing that I wish it had, and I've been watching some streams and asking people about. I wish I had asynchronous multiplayer, so I could like do a tournament and say, "Hey, everybody, we're all going to play on this this course, and we'll all have the same exact things. Like, you know, the wind will be 7 miles per hour coming from the northeast on hole 1, and on hole 2, this and that, and it'll be raining when you get to the 18th hole or something." Like, we'll all play on the same exact course. And we'll all play at some time from Monday until Saturday, and then the winner will be crowned. I think that that would be really awesome. But a couple of the people that I've spoken to who've been playing the game have said, no, the multiplayer is in real time, so everybody has to be playing at the same time. That is the one thing that I would change about this game that I haven't even played yet. But you know what? I'm looking forward to it, and only time will tell how awesome that this game is.
Gandra in the chat room says this looks like a use case for state share, and that would be a really great thing. Like, you play through your course and then you state share it to the community and say, hey, beat me, and then have the community come and play that same course. That would be fantastic.
That would. I wish that I was recording just then, because that was
oh no,
no, it's okay. I finished my thought and I was like, all right, I'm going to shut it off. And I didn't see that thing in the chat. That's brilliant, though. That would be really, really fantastic. That's okay. It'll still be in the YouTube video, but that would be really, really fantastic. What a perfect use case for state share. You are brilliant.
Exactly.
Who was that?
Gandara.
Somebody hire them. That's a brilliant idea.
Speaking of hire, if developers don't want to have problems with the games working on launch day, they just need to pre-send us codes, and then we can test the game to make sure it runs on founder accounts. I'm willing to offer my services.
We'll take that bullet.
Any Stadia developer, we can do that.
That's right. We'll take that bullet.
Roger, crowd choice, vote on which club to use. It'll be putter every single time. You're going to be hitting off the tee with the putter.
That's kind of like how when I played golf exactly once, and that is how I played. Of course, I wasn't using the putter, but my swing was so awful that the ball would only go about 15 feet. So I'd hit the ball, it'd go about 15 feet, and I'd walk 15 feet, hit the ball again, and the only thing I got out of playing golf that day was a really good sunburn.
Yeah. There was a golf course. It was a 10-minute bike ride away, or 15-minute bike ride away from my house. So me and my buddies, in the summer, we would have our golf clubs on a golf cart, like a little pull golf cart, and we would ride our bikes with our golf clubs behind us. 15 minutes, lock up our bikes, play around a golf 18 holes, grab some, I don't know, iced teas or lemonades after, and then bike home with our clubs behind us. And it was the weirdest thing. And we did it like all the time in the summer. And I'm thinking nowadays, like, who would let their kids do it nowadays? Like, bike to a golf course with the clubs behind it. Just such a different world back when we used to do that.
Uh, speaking of golf courses, when I was growing up, I lived across the street from a golf course, and
Oh,
so
you were a ball gopher, weren't you? Finding all
yeah.
the balls and reselling them. Oh, what a great way to make money as a kid.
That's how I got my my very first video game system. My Atari 2600 was going into the woods and finding golf balls that people had hooked off into the woods and just said, screw it, I can't find it. So we would go into the woods, find those, and then we would sell them for it was like a quarter a piece or 50 cents a piece or something like that,
Yeah,
to the golfers. And because there's nothing wrong with these, they were like, somebody golf balls are expensive, so we
they
would
are.
sell them back. And I had saved up enough money to buy my Atari 2600, and my friends and I would play hours and hours of Keystone Capers and River Raid and stuff like that because of it.
Nice. That's amazing.
All right, let's move on to our next segment, and that next segment is starting in just a moment. Okay, look, we've been waiting for this since Stadia first launched. It took 8 months for this to finally come to Stadia, and I don't understand why. But that's right, Doom 2016 is finally on Google Stadia. Lloyd, why do you think it took them so long to bring this game to
I
to Stadia?
I don't know because we got like a bunch of different like stories of people first checking out the streaming tech for Stadia, and this was the game that a lot of people were being shown was the original Doom 2016, maybe just a slice of the game, and then it was Assassin's Creed, and this was pre-Stadia name that this was happening, and then eventually it went from Doom 2016 to Doom Eternal. So maybe they started work on this and they said, you know what, we're going to get our new game running on Stadia. So maybe they had a lot of polishing to do to get it going, and the development team is working on getting Doom Eternal working on all the different platforms, not just Stadia. So maybe that's part of it. But it was my understanding that the game was done like so long ago, but that may not be accurate because of course we don't have any ears with the development team. But I'm really glad that the game is on Stadia. This is one of my favorite first person shooters of all time. I got the platinum for this game on PlayStation. I loved it. Just played so much this game back in the day, and I'm really glad that it's on Stadia for people that maybe haven't experienced it yet.
Yeah. So up until Doom Eternal came out, this was my favorite single player, and I'm going to stress single player because if you were talking about multiplayer first person shooters, then Overwatch is my favorite. But this was my favorite single player first person shooter of all time, right up until Doom Eternal came out, and then that became my favorite. Doom 2016 is fantastic, and there's people in chat that are saying, I've played Doom Eternal, I'm not sure I can go back to an older version. You can. It's awesome.
Yeah.
This has a lot less platforming. I know that there were people in our community Discord who were like, I love Doom Eternal, but I can't get the platforming right. I'm having trouble with that. This has way less platforming in it. And I would say that this is also a lot easier than Doom Eternal. Doom
Yeah,
Eternal
I
is
mean,
really hard.
this is almost like a completely entirely different game
Hmm.
when you compare the two between Doom Eternal. Other than you have shotguns and you're shooting demons in the face, Doom Eternal is very much puzzle solving, verticality, not so much like going through like I don't know, huge areas of tunnels and things like that. A lot of the stages are built on top of each other with having to go up like 5 floors, do something, then go down to the first floor, have a battle, go up to the third floor. Doom 2016 is very much you're at the start of the stage, you have to get to the end of the stage, and it's basically going through it as fast as you can to get to the end and beat the final boss. So they're almost entirely different games. So if you liked Eternal and you think this is going to be kind of like a backpedal, it's not. It's an entirely different game, and it's more like old Doom games. So if
Hmm.
you enjoyed Doom 1, 2, and 3, Doom 2016 is that. It's that distilled down to its I don't know, a concentrated awesomeness. And then Doom Eternal was taking what all those games did and then adding other stuff to it to make it different. So yeah, don't hold back on this one just because you played the newer one.
And I would 100% agree with that. And it's, I think, what is it, $20?
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, $20, $25 in Canada. So it's great to see a platform where you get an old game released and it's not like $60 because we're so used Bill and I doing Nintendo shows forever. A game would come out a year after every other platform. It would be $15, $20 on those platforms, and then it would drop on Switch and it was $60. And it's like, oh my God, I'm not gonna buy this. If I could just go buy it on my PlayStation for 20, I'm not gonna pay 60. This was the right price to drop it down on the Stadia.
Although even if it was $60, I would still recommend it because
Mm.
if you've never played it, the game is new to you. I always have I see people make this argument of this is an old game, it shouldn't cost full game price. And I do understand that because, the publisher and developers have already made their money on it and this is all bonus. But guess what? Porting a game does take resources. So I think it's perfectly reasonable for game, and this is a very unpopular opinion. I think it's perfectly reasonable for games to come out on a new platform at full price. And people always hate me for saying that. And the reason I think it is because if you've already played the game on some other platform, then why are you buying it again anyway, other than you have some kind of compulsive itch to buy every single game? And Lloyd, you mentioned Nintendo. This is the same kind of thing that we're always seeing on Nintendo, where Nintendo is porting Pikmin to the Nintendo Switch, and everybody's like, why is it $60? Well, because they did a bunch of work on it, and if you were going to buy it at the cheaper price, you probably already would have. So I think it's amazing that they're selling this for $20. I figured it would probably be 40, and so having it be half that price is pretty awesome. And I think that they probably could have had the game come out at 40 with a Stadia Pro discount of 20, and they would have sold a whole bunch of them, and then been able to remove that what's the word that discount for anybody who's not a pro member, and they would have made even more money. So Doom 2016 is fantastic. Go buy it if you haven't. If you like first person shooters, this is a really, really fantastic game.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There's a lot of chat in the chat room, and I've seen in the Discord and on Reddit. It's like, well, I'm not buying this. It's going to be a pro title next month. And you know what? I think that is possible. But also there's a lot more games coming. There's a lot more games on Stadia. So gone are the days where a game drops on a Friday, and then the next Wednesday we find out that it's going to be a pro title, burning the first week of people that bought the game. I think those days are done, just because of the sheer amount of content that we have on Stadia now compared to earlier. So if you're only holding off because you think it's going to be free in air quotes down the road, that might not be the case for this one. So you'll have to make your decision accordingly.
And if you buy it and it becomes a pro game, guess what? You got to play it and you had fun with it. And just because it's now available for other people for free doesn't actually take anything away from that. Jason Brown is asking a really good question before we move on. He says, I have Doom 2016 on my Switch. Is it worth the upgrade? So for Jason, I don't know because I haven't played it on Switch. I only played it on PC. And I'll say that by all accounts, the team that did the port to the Nintendo Switch did a fantastic job getting that game to run on essentially a tablet, which it's a feat of engineering that I can barely understand that they were able to do. It's just amazing that they were able to do that. So Lloyd, do you think, because really what you're getting is a faster frame rate and better graphics, do you think that this is worth upgrading to Stadia from the Nintendo Switch version, or what's your opinion on this?
I don't know. A lot of people enjoyed the multiplayer and stuff. I don't know how I don't know, populated that multiplayer is going to be on this one. If you've already played it on another platform and you want to play it again, having it in 4K, blasting to you over the internet on a 4K screen might be awesome. But if you already played the game, I don't know if there's any reason to rebuy it when there's so many other titles that are coming this month, next month. It's going to be an expensive couple months if you are buying all the games that are coming out on Stadia.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we've got some rumors that have turned into sad news. Stick around, everybody. All right. I'm going to save what we've got so far, because that's one of the advantages of recording the show like this instead of a one-shot. Stadia cast. What is this, 72? I can't believe we've done this 72 times.
Yeah. Is it 72?
It is. That's
seriously?
Bananas. Yep.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, 72.
We spend too much time talking to each other. All right, here we go. Oh wait, let me put in the stream marker, because that makes my life easier later. Okay, so I'm going to start with the rumor. There was a rumor from Idle Sloth 84, and they had a quote-unquote leak, and here's what they had to say in this leak, which is really loading slowly. Thank you, Twitter, for that. So here's what it says. There's a new Batman game called Gotham Knights. It's made by WB Montreal. It's a large open world city divided into a whole bunch of districts. There's 4 main playable characters: Batman, Nightwing, Robin, and Batwoman. And then Harley Quinn is a bonus pre-order character. You can switch between those characters at any time, like in GTA 5. The main antagonist is the Court of Owls. Let's see, it's coming early 2021 to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Steam, Epic, and Stadia. And then there's also another game called basically Kill the Justice League, where you play as the Suicide Squad, and it's basically the same game, just skinned where you're going, you've got different characters. This is essentially Pokemon, where they're selling you 2 versions of the same game, in my opinion. This one is coming late in 2021 or 2022 to PS5, Xbox Series X, Steam, Epic, and Stadia. That is the rumor that turned out to not be true. Although, let's just all relax for a second, because there's a lot of people I see who are worked up about this. So then Gotham Knights was announced at the DC whatever thing that was happening. I don't know anything about it, except for I know that there were a lot of movie trailers. Excuse me. So Gotham Knights and the Suicide Squad games were announced. Was there a Suicide Squad game announced as well? I know there was a Gotham Knights one.
There was what's the other one called? It's the Kill the Justice League.
Oh, okay.
There was some info that came out of that one. Yeah.
All right. So everything,
Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
Right. So everything that they said was true, except for one thing, and that's if you go to the official website for Gotham Knights and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, which I'm doing now. It says PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X, and PC digital download. It doesn't say anything about Stadia there. And of course, as soon as that happened, there were a lot of people who were very, very irritated because this doesn't have the logo for Stadia at the end. Lloyd, what do you think about this?
There's 2 outcomes. Either it is coming for Stadia and they just don't know that it's going to be launching on time, so they're not putting the logo there, or it's not coming for Stadia. It's kind of one or the other. I wouldn't be surprised to see these on Stadia, maybe not day and date. It looks like a lot of developers, if they're separating their development into last gen and next gen, they add Stadia into that mix as well, because they want to have all of the older generation of consoles covered. Of course, Stadia could then be upgraded and become a new gen console, but for the initial release, it could be there as well. So maybe the leak was accurate at one time. Maybe the plans were for Stadia, but then things just went south and they decided, you know what, we're not going to be able to get this game done in time. Let's cut one of our platforms and not release it on Stadia.
Yeah, and I think that it's perfectly reasonable for, and this is not going to be popular with our audience, but I think it's perfectly reasonable for a developer to say, The audience isn't there right now. We're going to have to save money because right now, um, companies that make games are struggling. They don't have the income that they are used to having because the games aren't shipping when they are supposed to. But keep in mind, WB Games has been a supporter of Stadia. We have Mortal Kombat on Stadia. I
Yep.
do expect that this game comes at a later date. Of course, there's going to be people who are going to say, well, now hold on a second, Bill. It's not good enough for it to come later because I want it now. And why is Stadia getting treated like second class citizens or whatever it is that their argument that they make? And
Hmm.
what you have to remember is that development takes a long, long time. So this game, if it's coming out in 2021, they've been working on it for probably 3 or 4 years already, and Stadia has only really been around for 8 months. So for them to have this game launched day and date that's a tall order. And I understand when developers and publishers say, you know what, we're not going to be able to do it. So let's not make any announcement now, especially after they've seen the backlash that like Cyberpunk has had, where they put the Stadia logo on there and people assume things, which I will say their website could kind of bit them in the rear end there. Um, so WB Games is saying, you know what? Why don't we just not put it on there? And later on, when we're ready to launch it on Stadia, we can say, and by the way, now it's on Stadia. So then there's going to be people who are going to say, well, but I just bought it on my PS4. So now I'm not going to buy it on Stadia. Okay. Nobody's asking you to.
Yeah.
There's the argument that people are going to say to that is, well, if the game doesn't launch day and date, that hurts Stadia as a platform. And I can understand that, but you're thinking in short term, and you have to remember that Stadia is a long term kind of thing. And because it's a long term
Sure.
kind of thing, it doesn't have that end date. It doesn't have that end date where Stadia 2 comes out and Stadia 1 is obsolete and nobody's going to buy it anymore. So, sure, all
Yep.
of those things are true, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's actually going to hurt Stadia in the long term.
Yeah, and it could also be that, as we've seen before on the platform, the initial announcement of a game doesn't have a Stadia logo, and then all of a sudden, down the road, a month later, 3 months later, 6 months later, there's a Stadia Connect, and that game is all of a sudden part of it. So maybe they're holding off releasing it because they're either not sure, or maybe there's a Stadia Connect coming soon, and they want to announce this game there. Like, things happen in the industry. So just because it doesn't have the logo now doesn't mean it won't be there at the end when the game actually ships. But it is kind of disappointing to see more and more next gen games announced without that Stadia logo. So hopefully that isn't something that we run into for very much longer. Hopefully we get a lot more Stadia logos on all these new trailers as they come out.
Right, and don't think for a second, because of what I just said, that I don't want these games to come to Stadia. It is
Yep.
my platform of choice. The Stadia controller is the controller that I like to use, so much so that even though Elder Scrolls Online looks better on my computer, um, has a higher frame rate on my computer, I prefer to play it on Stadia because A, I like the controller better than my Xbox controller, and B, I can play it on all of these different screens. So it's really more about convenience for me. So don't think just because I said all of those things that I don't want Gotham Knights to come to Stadia, because I do want Gotham Knights to come to Stadia. I want all the games to come to all of the platforms so that people can play the game that they want on the platform that they prefer. And I think that that's the way that it's going to happen, probably next year or the year after.
Mhm.
People are just a little less patient than I think that they should be.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where I'm a little disappointed right now, but I know that we've seen it on Stadia before. We've seen it on Nintendo where the logo isn't there, all because that there is some other press release that is waiting to come out, or video event that's waiting to come out. So just because it's not there now doesn't mean it won't be there by the time the game launches.
All right. Let's move on to Windbound. Let me bring that up. All right. All right, the next game that I want to talk about is basically, I feel like Windbound is that game that looks like Breath of the Wild, and it looks really, really fantastic. Windbound, they and this is going to be a short segment, but they had we'll see. They tweeted out this very interesting tweet. They said, "So many of you have been talking to us over the past few months about Windbound bonus DLC. We can't thank you enough for your patience. Here's how you can secure Kara's Ancestral Gear bonus DLC items alongside your Windbound purchase across all playable platforms." And they then talk about pre-orders. And immediately when I hear that, I think, okay, it's a pre-order bonus, which I'm never a fan of pre-order bonuses at all. I don't like pre-order bonuses. It bugs me that that's the route that we go, but that's a different discussion. And then everybody on Stadia is kind of screwed because pre-order bonuses aren't, like, you can't have pre-orders yet on Stadia. So what happens there? Well, Windbound is addressing that. They said on Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch, if you pre-order, sorry, I clicked a button and it moved things. If you pre-order or purchase Windbound, if you pre-order it, you get that stuff on Xbox One and PC. On Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Stadia, you can get it if you pre-order. You get that stuff, or if you buy the game within the first 2 weeks of launch, and that gives you that stuff at no extra cost. So basically, launch is on September 10th. You have 2 weeks after September 10th to pick up the game, and you get the extra bonus stuff that I don't care about really. But I do know that there's a lot of people who do care about that stuff. And not being able to pre-order games on Stadia is something that people don't like. Well, go ahead, Lloyd.
Looks like the launch is August 28th, and then you have until September 10th to purchase the stuff.
I misunderstood what I was reading. That's why I have Lloyd, is to fix things when I mess things up. Are you interested in this game, Lloyd?
I am. I really want to play this one. It reminds me a lot of Zelda, of course. It looks really good. For me, the pre-order bonus isn't super exciting. It's just cosmetic stuff. So it's nothing that I'm really gonna get upset about. But I understand that there are people that like specific games and they want every single thing in the game. They want to have access to all the things, and I get that. I'm a completionist in a lot of my titles, so I fully understand that. So Stadia just needs to add pre-orders. Like, I don't understand why it's not there already, but I'm not the engineer in charge of creating a store and an ecosystem and all the back end stuff that needs to be created for this to happen. So I'm sure that will come in time. The pre-orders were not on any platform at launch except for maybe the Nintendo Switch. Every other platform that is current, I don't believe, had pre-orders. So or maybe Xbox One did.
Well, they didn't have digital pre-orders, but you could pre-order stuff in the store.
That's right. So it'll come. But yeah, to answer your question, Windbound just looks so cheery. It looks very much like a Breath of the Wild cross with Wind Waker, and then there's some survival elements to the game. It looks really good. I really do want to play this one, and this will be one that I'm looking forward to. Maybe not quite at launch, but as soon at launch, as soon as I can to launch. That was a really awkward sentence, and it was really awkward me trying to fix that awkward sentence. But yeah, this is a game. I love survival mechanics. Because of the announcement of Subnautica coming to the Nintendo Switch. I checked out Subnautica on Xbox Game Pass and played a bunch of that, where it's very much survival elements. You're collecting things to live, and then also to progress the story. And this one looks very much like that, with a nice Zelda skin on it. So yeah, super looking forward to this one.
All right, there we go. And I just realized I don't have to finish each thing, so I can stop recording when you stop talking too. All right, let me. Oh gosh, what is this? Oh, okay. let's do click and okay, the next thing that we are going to talk about is Baldur's Gate 3. Lloyd, I know you've been trying to avoid stuff. Did you watch the panel from hell?
I did. I
Okay.
did. I'm like, okay, I want to play this game so much, and I watched the panel from hell, and it looked like it was a technical issues from hell on that panel, getting some things working. The COVID area that we're in right now, everything's happening remote. The internet doesn't always play nice, but they did as good a job as they could possibly do to get this event happening. The game looks fantastic. That little what was it? Intellect Devourer, like the little moving brain thing. I'm just like, whoa, that's disgusting. I want to play it. And then the developers talked about how, yeah, we just threw this together really fast. Someone had an idea, they mocked it up, and within a couple hours we were playing it, and then we fleshed it out, and here it is in the game. And that just shows how good our engine is. And I'm like, oh my god, I really love this, because that means that post-launch content could just be patched in, because it's super easy for them to add new stuff to the game and have it all play nice with the D&D rules that are governing every single part of the game. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one.
This was absolutely one of the grossest things that I have ever seen. You know what? I'm not going to tell you why it's gross. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's awesome, but man, it was super gross. It was very surprising to me. Like I knew it would be rated M for mature, but good God, that was really gore. Like it was worse than Doom Eternal as far as grossness goes, in my opinion. And it's probably just because of the detail and the things that they were doing in it. But man, I'm excited for this game. And we finally have our launch date of September 30th. Am I remember? Yeah, yep. September 30th. And then there was a little interview with looks like Kieran Kelly, who's the product manager for Larian Studios. Now it's one of those interviews with the state. It's like an official Stadia interview, so most of the stuff is very, very canned but there was something in here that I liked a lot. So here's what I liked a lot. First off, that we finally got the early access is coming to Stadia the same day it's coming to other platforms. I think that's great. I'm happy about that. September 30th. And then the interview asked, so why are you bringing it to Stadia? And this is a developer that understands that is saying exactly what Lloyd and I have been saying for, I don't know, 72 episodes. And they said, why are you bringing it to Stadia? Here's what they said. For me, it's how low the barrier to entry is thanks to Stadia. One thing that I've noticed in the many years of seeing people play our RPGs for the first time is how easily the games click with them once they start playing. Some players don't own a powerful PC or the latest console, but we know from experience that new players just need to jump in to experience the world we've created and explore on their own to get hooked. With Stadia, getting up and running in Baldur's Gate and exploring for yourself is a lot more accessible. And that right there is the reason that Stadia is going to be popular in the future. It's because of the accessibility. You know, not everybody wants to have a beefy PC rig. Not everybody wants to spend however much it's going to cost for one of these new consoles when they come out. But, you know, everybody's got a Chromebook or a crappy PC that they play on, that they use to pay their bills and stuff. And now they can also play games without spending hundreds of dollars on just for the privilege to pay more money for a game. So I think that's something that is very, very important. So,
yeah, no, I agree with you. We're chatting in the chat room, and it's like, oh, I don't like the fact that it's early access and that there's up to a year of early access. Early access is something that's been done on Steam for a while now, where a lot of games will release in early access and they will have a 3-month development cycle, 6-month development cycle, 2-year development cycle, and it's just a way for them to get some funding in the middle of development or near the end of development, and then directly interact with the users. When you play an early access game, you obviously usually, not always, but the games I've played, there's a lot of times feedback right from within the app. So you can go to feedback and say, I just had a bug, this is what happened, or this was too hard. The best part is during this event, they showed a heat map of one of their other early access titles, and they saw little red dots where everybody died, and they're like, okay, there's a huge red dot by this one boss. That's good. We wanted that to be a really hard battle, but there's enough red dots everywhere else that the game seems to be it can kill you wherever you are, but it's not killing you just in the starting area. So people are exploring the whole game and dying there. So it really allows them to tinker and fine-tune the game for the final press to gold master, put it in boxes and sell it in stores for consoles version of the game. So a year of early access means that when the game launches, you're going to get a slice of the content. And usually what happens with early access, at least the ones that I've experienced, is you get regular updates. So they keep adding more content. So I don't think we're just going to get that small slice of content for the next year. I think they're going to do a couple feature releases to give us more and more of the game. But yeah, it's just a way to help them develop this title by playing it and telling them what you like and what you don't like.
And keep in mind, there's nothing that says that you have to buy early access. You can wait until early access is over and buy the game at that point. Yes, this is a game that has multiplayer, but you don't have to play a multiplayer. This is a game that you can have a lot of fun playing as a single. Like, these kind of games are really good single player games. So I think it's perfectly reasonable for somebody to say, you know what, I'm not interested in early access. I'm going to wait. For me, early access is actually kind of I kind of like that idea. And for me, the reason is because I have a very short attention span. And so I can play the stuff. I think they said that's about 20 hours of content is in early access when they launch on September 30th. I can play through that 20 hours, no problem. Then when suddenly there's more stuff, I can jump right back into the game and play more. And then when there's more stuff, I can jump into the game and play more. And what happens to me most of the time is I buy a game that's like, I don't know, 200 hours of content. I play 20 hours, I get sick of it and move on to something else. And I think that for me, I'm going to have an absolute blast. And keep in mind that Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 were both early access games. And those games are fantastic because of it. So that's early access can be a really, really good thing for both the player and the developers and publishers. They can improve the game over time because of you.
That's right. Yeah, it is fantastic. And the ability, like Bill just said, to play a game early, show the developers what is working, what isn't, means that the game at the end of this early access, I don't know, a trial period, is better for it, because they can see where people are dying, which fights are too hard, who's using which skills. Maybe there's skills in the game that no one's using. So why is that happening? Is it because we're not telling them that these skills exist, or maybe they're not exciting, or maybe some people have used them and said they're crap on some forum somewhere or on Reddit somewhere, and so everyone's like, well, I'm going to min-max my character, I don't want to use that garbage. So it allows them to kind of see what the users are doing, and then carry on to the full game and make those changes, because you can have as much testing as you want. You can have 1,000 people testing your game in some sort of test suite, going through, looking for bugs, fixing bugs, submitting bug reports, blah, 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 blah. But then you submit the game to the end user and they always find other things that aren't working or play the game a different way. So this is going to be good for the game.
Or they get stuck at a loading screen for 10 minutes.
There you go. That's another thing that can happen. That is a good early access is good to get rid of problems just like that.
All right, let's hit up crowd play. I was gonna talk about this Sega thing, but we're already really far into like we're already at an hour, so I'm gonna get rid of that, and we'll just jump into crowd play. Oh, hey, Reese, thank you very much.
That's the only issue doing it this way is we don't. I can't tell how long the episode is, and know whether I have to cut down my rants a little bit more because we have so many pauses in the middle.
Would you prefer to not do it this way?
I don't know. We'll try it like this for a little bit and see how it
Okay.
works. And I'm always game to try new things.
I'm always game to change everything all of the time. That's just me.
That is the game for you. That's the game you like to play.
Yes, that's right. All right. So let's move on. All right, so now it's time for crowd play. This is where Lloyd and I answer all of the questions and comments that have come in through our super chats, and then if there's time at the end, which there probably won't be today, the tweets and stuff like that. So let's take a look at the super chats that have come in. First off, we want to say thank you to Reese, Sargent, and Gernoldi for becoming members. We really do appreciate that. Consino sent in a huge super chat of $20 with no comment, but thank you very much for the support, Consino. You're awesome. And then Anthony Talcott sent in a super chat saying, I'm really happy at how many games are on Stadia, but I really want Google to talk more about updates to the platform. Where is Stadia heading? What do they want to implement next year, etc.? What are your thoughts? Lloyd, start us off, man.
I don't know. I really do. Like we chatted with some of the PR reps a while ago, and the only complaint that I had is that, and it wasn't even a complaint, it was just more an observation. When you buy a new platform like PlayStation 4, when you buy a PlayStation 4, you know what the PlayStation 4 is. You've already known what the OS does, what all the features are, and then you can basically immediately grab that system and start playing it. Stadia is kind of like, these are all the things we have planned, and then we don't know when they are coming out. So having a roadmap, having more time spent talking about all that would be a really great thing. I agree, Anthony. We need more of the platform updates. We need things like pre-orders. We need the ability for crowd choice and crowd play and streaming, because we know it's coming. We know it's working. We know Mortal Kombat hasn't implemented for some people. So we need actual dates and stuff like that. And I'm sure all this stuff would have probably launched by now, but then COVID jumped in and wrecked it for everybody in the games industry. So hopefully in not too long of a time from now, we will eventually be able to see all that stuff live on Stadia and play with it.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. I think you've covered everything really well. JC Hustle, I finally got his name right. JC Hustle 22 sent in a super chat. They said, Stadia devs have to watch Stadia Cast. Do you agree or no? So, yes, we do know that there are people who work in the gaming industry. What the hell? Lloyd, you talk. No, I'm just kidding. There are people who make games and they watch our show. And the reason we know that is because those people have reached out to us on multiple occasions and leaked things to us that we've talked about on the show in the past. So yes, we do have devs that watch. And for those devs, thank you for watching. And I hope that some of the things that we say about come across less as criticisms and more as observations or hopes for what you will do with this platform, of which Lloyd and I are big fans.
Yeah, we're the types of consumers where we're honest. I've been podcasting since 2005, and I've always been honest with my listeners. I say if I like a game, even if I get a review code, I'll say if I hate the game. I'll publish reviews where I say this game is trash because of this. They could fix it with this, and I think that is. I think developers like that, even though they don't like the criticisms, they like the honesty. There's a lot of anger in the YouTube community on Stadia and other platforms where people come right out and they put out 20-minute videos ranting about how garbage everything is. We're not those guys, and maybe developers like hearing a little more nuanced conversations about what's good and what's bad about their titles.
I will say this: if we were those guys, we'd make a lot more money. It's
That's
way more profitable to rant about stuff than it is to be more balanced and even with your criticisms and praise of a platform or a game or anything like that. So
that's right.
You know, we don't do that. We don't play that game because we think it's more important to be honest with our audience than it is to make a big pile of cash. Not to say that anybody who ever said anything bad about Stadia is only doing it because they want a big pile of cash. Maybe that's really how they feel. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, it could be I don't know, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. I think with this, but yeah, I think that's a little snapshot or a little view into why some developers are chatting with us in private saying, hey, you got this wrong, this is really what it is, please don't quote me. Or yes, this is coming, you can let people know, but just don't let them know it came from us. And I think developing the relationship with our listeners and then developers and game I don't know, game console manufacturers, but this isn't a console, so I guess platform holders. It's been really good for us because we're honest whether things are good or bad. You know that we're not just blowing smoke because we got a review code of a game early.
Yeah, exactly. Reese Sargent sent in a super chat, and they just became a member, and then they did a super chat afterwards. They said, I'm not going to ask a question, I just want to say cheers for all you both do with regards to Stadia. Keep it going, and all the best to both. Well, thank you very much, Reese. We appreciate all of the support, and thank you to everybody who sent in super chats or became members. It really does make making this show easier. We really do appreciate it. You guys are fantastic. But hey, that looks like it's the end of the show. So let's wrap everything up. Go ahead, Lloyd. He's got a finger in the air.
One more reply to the tweet that you send out. It's from Granite T Rock. This is family sharing needs to come yesterday. I will likely get Spiritfarer on Switch because it has a single save game and no ability for the wife and I to play with separate instances from one purchase on Stadia. This makes the Switch version much more appealing. Yes, I agree 1,000%. There's a lot of games on Stadia that I'd love my kids to play. I don't want them destroying my save games. So yeah, having family sharing, that needs to launch right away. Google, you need to put this at the top of the list because I think there's a lot of people that are buying content on other platforms just because they want to play. There's multiple people in the house that want to play the game, and you can do that on other platforms without even thinking about it. So yeah, hopefully that will come really, really soon.
Yeah, and you know, it doesn't even have to be, I mean, look, family sharing would be the best way to do it, but it doesn't even have to be that. It can also just be more than one save slot. It drives me crazy when games give you a single save slot in order to deal with your game. And, you know, you play on Nintendo Switch, that's not a big deal because you have multiple profiles. You know, same thing on PlayStation. Stadia doesn't have multiple profiles for your console because there is no console. So every person in the house has a different console, which is cool. But, you know, that family sharing absolutely needs to come sooner rather than later. And, you know, we do know that Google listens to our show. So, you know, keep telling them what you guys want because we will keep telling them what you guys want. And then maybe what you guys want will become a reality.
That's right.
Let's get out of here. Let's make sure everybody knows. Follow the show on Twitter at StadiaCast. Follow me at Run Jump Stomp, and you can follow Lloyd at Dasme. Be sure to get a hold of us, follow us because we tweet about stuff. Join the StadiaCast Discord. There's a link in the description down below, or just head on over to runjumpstomp.com and you can find it. There you can also join Lloyd's Discord over at resd.tv/Discord. All the music that you heard throughout the show is all by Zircon. So thank you to them for allowing us to use their music on the show. You can find their stuff at zirconstudios.bandcamp.com. Lloyd, see you next time.
Yeah, see you later, Bill. See everybody. Have a great week.
All right, there we go. We did it.
We made another show, Bill.
Yeah, we did. Sammy on Stadia is saying post-show PGA. Well, neither of us have PGA yet, so we can't do that.
Yeah, I really want to play it, but man, I want to play more Spiritfarer because I want to give this game the benefit of a full playthrough before I talk about it next time, instead of just playing 2 hours and then saying, "Yep, the game is good," because who knows if it falls apart near the end.
Yeah. And then you said that you were doing a first look coming up soon for, I can't remember what it was now.
Mind Control Deletes.
Oh yeah.
Super hot Mind Control Delete. Yeah, I picked that game up since it's on sale. I'm gonna try to get a first look done later this evening. This is the last weekend for the Avengers beta, open beta, so I gotta play through a couple more missions on my PlayStation, so I'm going to be doing a little of that as well. It's going to be a full day of video gaming. I'm really looking forward to this.
Who do you think your main's going to be when that game comes out?
I think I'm going to be swapping back and forth. I really love Hulk. I love the fact that every single like movement is just so like weighty and visceral, like punching, like you're running down a platform or a hallway and there's like burnt out cars and you just like do the shoulder shrug and they go flying. Like I love that. But then I also love Iron Man because I've been an Iron Man fan since I was a little kid, before Iron Man was the cool superhero. He was annoying and passed over for better things. So I love Iron Man. But then Kamala is great as well, and so I don't really like Black Widow. Is about the only character I haven't chosen to play a second time, other than like when you're forced to play as her. I think I need to learn her skills a little bit more. So, and then Thor, of course, is just Thor. He's breathtaking with his long hair. So I don't know, man. I love all the characters, and when you look, some people have taken the video game and they've done a data mine, and you look at what is probably going to happen post launch with all the content that's coming. This is going to be a game that I'm going to be playing for a very, very long time. So my only problem right now is I have a pre-order on PlayStation 4 for half off because I pre-ordered it like 2 years ago on a crazy $40 pre-order sale. I don't want to play it on PlayStation, but I also don't want to pay $80 for the game that I could have got for 40. So and then I also get Spider-Man if I play on PlayStation. So I'm kind of having a little crisis right now trying to figure out where I'm going to play this game.
I'll be getting it on Stadia, guys, because I did not do that pre-order thing. But Lloyd, I totally understand. Like that's $40. That's a lot of money. You know, you can buy like, I don't know, a whole bunch. You can buy, I don't know, like 8 coffees or something with that. So
yeah. I want to buy it on. I'll own it on Stadia as well. This is a game that is going to be kind of like, it's going to have a long tail, or if everything goes right. They're planning multiple years of regular content drops where they're going to say, hey, now you can play as Hawkeye. Now you can play as, I don't know, I'm going to invent someone that wasn't in the leak so that I'm not spoiling anything. Silver Surfer. There you go. You can play as Silver Surfer. And then you play that way and go through that character's story missions, and then play some of the Warzone content and things like that. So I'm excited, man. I really want to play this game, so I think that's what I'm going to be doing right after this one.
Somebody just asked, they said, Bill, you said that you don't care about sports games. Why are you so excited about PGA? Because it's golf, and while, yeah, golf is obviously a sports game, it's not, how do I want to describe this? It's not an action game. Does that make sense? And so I feel like my ability to actually be okay at this game is pretty good. And also, like, let's say I'm playing Madden. When I was a kid, like, I didn't understand the X's and O's and stuff. Like, I would look on there and I wouldn't know when I would want to run a zone defense versus a man-to-man or any, like, I wouldn't understand when I would want to use a specific play because I didn't care about sports, really. And I still don't really care about sports. But golf, there's really no decisions other than, all right, I got to select the right club to get the ball to land in the right spot. And there's a little arrow that shows you this is where it's going to land if you do it right. So it takes all of the things about sports games that I don't really like and gets rid of that. Now, if you want to play a simulation golf game, guess what? You can turn all of that stuff off. I was watching a guy play on Twitch. He had all of that stuff turned off, and he was playing it, and there was no arrows or anything. He would zoom in on where it was going to land, and he would hit and it was like, that's really cool, but that's not for me. I want the arrows.
Right.
I want to look at the green and see all of the little this is where the ball's going to go as it rolls past this spot. But
Sure.
yes, Sammy on Stadia, right? PGA is accessible. That's the thing. And when you look at Madden or NBA 2K or NHL 2K, those games are not accessible to somebody that is not a sports fan. Whereas
That's
PGA
also,
Tour, I think, is. Go ahead.
that's also why I'm super excited about WWE 2K Battlegrounds, because it's going to be a fun arcadey wrestling game. I've played a lot of the wrestling games over the years because I watch wrestling with my kids, or I did until COVID kind of ruined the whole experience of wrestling because there's no people in the stands and it doesn't feel the same. But the the simulation wrestling games, it's more like who can hit the buttons and reverse moves more, and it loses a lot of that fun. Where I played a lot of these ones on N64, and they were the best wrestling games ever. Like the N64 wrestling games are like top of wrestling games. This one looks like it could be a little of that as well, where you can play just with people that have never played before, and they can just button mash and have a lot of fun as well. So I'm looking forward to that one as well, for the same reason that Bill is looking forward to PGA so much.
There you go. All right, Lloyd has a lot of video gaming to do. I may or may not stream later. I'm not sure. It depends on what's going on around the house. But
would anybody want to see a Spiritfarer stream?
Oh,
I don't know if that's a game that people would want to love or want to watch and end up loving by watching a stream. It's one of those games where it's just I don't know, it's slow, and you can take as long as you want to get things done. Some people are saying yes. Okay, well, maybe that might be something I do. Probably not today, but maybe later this week I'll schedule something for a Spiritfarer stream.
So let me ask you a real quick question about Spiritfarer. Do you feel like it's the kind of game where if I watched you play it, I'd be like, well, now I don't need to play it? Or would I be able to watch you and be like, oh, okay, I want to play it now, and because then I can do things a little differently than you?
Yeah, I think it's one of those games where how you lay out your ship, how you choose to I don't know, jump on the different tasks. Like, you want to go to this island and collect wood, or do you want to go over here and collect more of these glimmer things and shines and all the other stuff that is in the game? It's more like Minecraft in that way, where where you can kind of do things at your own. Like I signed up for the mailing list right in the game. You can go down and it's like join the Thunder family, and so I went there and I punched in my email address, and they send you a regular email. Like so far I've received 2 emails from when I started playing the game, and they talk about how you can play the game at your own pace. You don't have to do anything there's no time constraints. You can kind of do what you want when you want. If you want to spend days just fishing, go ahead and do that. You don't have to there's no timer that is gonna blow up the world if you don't do this. So it's really one of those games where you can kind of just take it slow and play it at your leisure, or you can you can like min-max it and try to get to the very end of the game as quick as possible and beat the game and save all the souls or whatever you're doing. So it's a very open-ended kind of game, even though it is kind of narrative driven in some regards because of the way that you attract the different spirits and get to know them and give them hugs and give them their favorite food and do stuff like that.
Pat Duddy in chat is asking about Monopoly. Listen, Lloyd and I have said before that we will do another Monopoly stream, and honestly, I don't know why we haven't yet. It's just about finding a time. So we will do a Monopoly stream at some point in the near future. Or if Uno comes out first, maybe we'll do an Uno stream instead, where that kind of thing. But we'll do some kind of game where Lloyd and I are playing something together. We'll do a stream at some point in the near future.
For sure.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Lloyd, you stay awesome, man.
YouTube, Bill. Take it easy, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye bye.